Top 10 right now is our off-season series. We rank the top 10 players at each position in order. Early returns now. Where were we right? Where were we not quite as right, as I said to Al Leiter before? Sarah Langs of MLB.com is part of our Sabermetric Super Panel, and we're going to check out some of the surprises that we've seen. Sarah, Brian Kenny here. Great to have you back on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I love looking back at these lists.
Yeah, sometimes I love it, sometimes I don't love it. Center field, though, you can rest easy on this. You went Trout and then Byron Buxton. So you had the belief in Buxton right there, and it's turning out to be terrific. Tell me about Buxton. What did you see? What's turning out?
So far this year, this is the Byron Buxton we have been waiting for. We saw it last year, too, and then he got hurt. And I know he already had an injury so far this year. But if you take a look at the leaders and expected slugging percentage, he is second on that list behind Jock Peterson. What does that tell us? Everything he's doing right now, he deserves to be doing. He is crushing the ball. He had a 469-foot walk-off home run on Sunday, the longest walk-off home run we have tracked by StatCast. Here's that expected slugging percentage list. You can see expected slugging percentage 793. He should be slugging 793 right now. I know it's April 26th, but this is why I had him number 2. I was hoping this could happen and that he could stay healthy. And so far, here we are.
Yeah, a matter of staying on the field. I had him a little lower than that. Cody Bellinger is now a different case where he's dealing with injury, but his main thing, he was just awful last year, but clearly a high ceiling. I had him 6th. You had him 8th, so you're a little cooler on Bellinger. Your thoughts on him now?
It's been great to see. He's been playing so much better. He already has 7 multi-hit games this year. He had 8 all last year in 95 games. And again, it's April 26th. The thing that stands out to me to say that he may be able to maintain this, that he might really be back with a capital B, is his hard hit rate. He is crushing the ball. Right now, it's above 50%. I don't know if it'll stay there for the whole season, but last year he only hit the ball hard 35% of the time. So just seeing that he's doing that more, again, gets to those results that we can actually believe in. And everyone wants to see Cody Bellinger do well, except maybe the team he's playing in the moment. So you really, really have to hope this is for real with him.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see. Let's do the starting pitcher list now. I've talked about this Garrett Cole off to the slow start. We were both down on Cole. I think we both had him 7th, which is low for him. Your thoughts on Cole and where we have him? Do you think he moves up, moves down?
I think ultimately he moves up. I think I said when we did our segments that I probably should have had him a little higher. I know he hasn't been great to start the year, but he has had those flashes. His last start out, he looked really like vintage Cole. And I think ultimately he will get back there. I know there's been such a microscope on him, but ultimately I think he's a top 5 starting pitcher. I regretted not having him a little bit higher, but not significantly higher. So we'll see where that all nets out. But Nestor Cortez, you guys were talking about before.
Yeah.
Are we going to have him on the list next year? I mean, oh my gosh.
Good point. Now, here's where I missed the boat. I think we all missed the boat on this, but I'll kick myself on this. Nobody had Justin Verlander. Where's the belief? He comes back and oh, of course he looks like that. Now, we didn't know he'd been gone for a full year. Were you close to taking a flyer on Verlander, or what were your thoughts there?
I had his name on my spreadsheet. You know, he's a guy we're always going to think of until he retires. But as you said, we just had no idea what he was going to be like when he came back from injury. It's no surprise that he's still Justin Verlander, but I think a lot of it was also just about the proliferation of arms we have right now. I didn't even have room for a Logan Webb, and there were so many new names. Corbin Burns was, I think, all of our number 2. He hadn't even been on these lists as recently as 2 or 3 years ago. So I think it was much more about how much great starting pitching we have, and there's just so much of it.
Let's do left field. Not the strongest position, but by the time you got round to 6 to 10, you still had some good players, but nobody had Jock Peterson there. Should we have seen Jock Peterson coming?
You know, I think we should have because of the San Francisco Giants. Now, I don't know if he had signed yet with the Giants, when we actually taped these. I think he maybe had not. But knowing that he was on the Giants, we should have known at some point that he would be utilized correctly. He only has 3 plate appearances against left-handed pitchers all year, and that's the key to unlocking Jock Peterson. He is crushing the ball, hitting a ton of home runs, slugging a lot, and doing what he does when he's facing righties. And if there's any team that can really deploy him correctly, it's Farhan Zaidi and Gabe Kapler. So, we're going to have him there next year for sure.
Now, I didn't put Joey Gallo on there, and our researchers were still on me going, BK, you got to put Joey Gallo. And I said, no, I had the guys at the end of my list, like, no, I'd rather have them from 6 months than the erratic play of Gallo. I mean, he's off to a terrible start. I don't want to see that, but it has borne out. Did you have Gallo in your top 10?
I did. I think I was the high person on Gallo, and I remember defending that in our show. Again, what I said at the time was that so much of it was really based on his defense, which I do think is underrated. But, unfortunately for him, it seems like the worst case scenario, what people say about him, strike out too much and everything else has played out so far this season. I do think he'll get on the board with some home runs and show that slug, but ultimately he is a guy who's going to strike out a lot. But I will say, in my defense, I really wanted to hype his defense on our show, and that's why I had him where I had him.
Look, anybody that had anybody in a different spot, I was a fan of this year. Like, we were all thinking the same way. We've talked about this at Sabre Analytics, where it's like we're all kind of ranking guys exactly the same. Anytime anybody moves out, and that was my thing there with Gallo. Look, at his peak, like, he can be spectacular, but just bad at bats. And I'm just going to go, real world on that. Well, we'll revisit again. Sarah, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. So much fun.